can also turn this little dime into a happy little ornament that will sit on the branch of the tree. You will need a hook. I am using a size 4.0 millimeter size hook, some white yarn for the body, green yarn for the stripe, and some black yarn for your hat. You will also need a pair of scissors for snipping your yarn and a tapestry needle for reaming in all your ends. Once you have all of those materials, let's head over to the table and get started. See you soon! To start the body of your snowman, you want to start off with a magic ring. So take the tail of your working yarn and wrap it around your right hand twice to where it forms a ring. Take your hook, insert it underneath the first strand you made, grab your working yarn, the yarn that's attached to your ball, and pull up a loop. Yarn over, and chain one to secure it. There we go. That is the start of our snowman. In the pattern that I am using, I am going to be working the snowman from the bottom up. So for row 1, we are going to start crocheting 6 single crochets into the magic ring. So take your hook, insert it underneath the 2 strands that you made, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over one more time, and go through both loops. And that is your first start of the round. You start our second one. You're just going to insert our hook through those 2 strands again, yarn over, pull up a loop. You should have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through both loops. And you will continue this until you have a total of 6 single crochets. And I will meet you back to show you a unique way for joining the stitches so we don't have the seam as we're working up the toy or the ornament. So as you can see, I have a total of 6 single crochets within my circle. So what I want you to do now is pull your loop up on your hook, like that, take out your hook, and lay it aside. What you want to do now is take a string or a piece of yarn, doesn't have to be very long, pick up your hook again and insert it into that very last stitch that you made. Right there. Wrap the yarn around and pull through. And what this does is that it acts as a stitch marker. And it marks the very last stitch that you made for each round as you continue. And it's very helpful when you're trying to count the number of rows that you have or trying to figure out when you're at the last stitch of your round. Now that you've done that, move the stitch marker aside and pull in your tail. You should now have a nice little ring. And go ahead and insert your hook right into that first stitch of the round that you made. It's right there. Into your hook. We are going to single crochet 2 right into that stitch. There's 1, and there's 2. And we are just going to single crochet 2 into each of the next stitches all the way around until we reach our stitch marker. And that is the pattern for row 2. Once you have reached your yarn stitch marker, you are just going to go ahead and finish row 2 with single crocheting twice into that stitch. And by the end of this row, you should have a total of 12 stitches. And there's 1. And 2. So now what you want to do is take your hook out and insert it between the last stitch that you made. Grab your stitch marker, yarn over, and pull through. And we are just going to continue that method all the way up the body of our snowman. And that just keeps track of the number of rows that we have. There we go. There's the end of row 2. For rows 3, 4, and 5, we are just going to be continuing our increasing pattern. And what we want to do for row 3 is single crochet into that very first stitch. And we're just going to single crochet once into this stitch. And then single crochet twice into the very next stitch. And that is the pattern for row 3. There's our second one. And then we are going to single crochet once in the next stitch. And then single crochet twice into the stitch right after that. And by the end of this row, you should have a total of 18 stitches. And just like you did for the second row, we are going to move up our stitch marker in the last stitch that we made. So I'll meet you guys back at the end of row 3. Another tip to make sure that you know you are counting your stitches right is that at the end of each row you should be landing on a double or 2 stitches within the same stitch. There is my first. And there is my second. And since I'm at the end of my row, I'm just going to move up my loop like that, turn my work, insert it into that last stitch that I made, and move up my stitch marker. And that would be the end of row 3. For row 4, we are going to single crochet into the next 2 stitches one time. And then single crochet twice into that 3rd stitch. And by the end of this row, you should have a total of 24 stitches. So it's 1 in the next, 1 in the next, and then twice into the 3rd. Now we'll meet you back at the end of the row. I have reached the last stitch of the previous round, and just so that I know I am on the right track, I need to single crochet twice into that last stitch to finish it off. So there's 1 and 2. I am going to remove my hook and insert it into that last stitch that I made. Yarn over and pull through. That is the end of row 4. For row 5, we are going to be doing one last row of increasing for the bottom half of our snowman, and that is single crocheting into the next 3 stitches one time. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Into the 4th, we are going to single crochet twice. So we are going to single crochet into the next 3 one time. And single crochet twice into the 4th. And that will bring us to a total of 30 stitches. Now we'll meet you guys back when you have a total of 30 stitches. I have reached the last stitch of my previous round, and what I need to do now is finish off row 5 with 2 single crochets into that same stitch, and that brings me to a total of 30 stitches. So just like we did in the last round, we want to move our hook up, and then this time turn our work around, insert our hook through that last stitch that remained, yarn over, and pull through. From here on now until row 9, we are just going to single crochet all the way around. So for row 6, 7, and 9, we are just going to be single crocheting. once into each stitch. We are not going to be increasing any more rounds. So go ahead and get you guys started and meet you back at the end of the row. And this is row 6 right now. That will complete the bottom half of the snowman. So meet you guys back at the end of row 6 and then let you guys go to complete row 7, 8, and 9 on your own. So round 10 begins our decreasing pattern, and that follows the increasing method, except we are decreasing every time we make a new row. We are just going to be doing that method for rows 10, 11, and 12. So to start, we want to single crochet into the next 3 stitches once. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Into the 4th and 5th stitch, we are going to combine them to make our decreasing stitch. So in order to make a decreasing stitch, you want to take your hook and insert it right into that next stitch. Yarn over and pull the loop. You then want to take your hook and put it right into that very next stitch, yarn over, and pull the loop. And as you can see, it kinda looks like we are doing a half double crochet. We now want to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And that is your first decrease of the round. So the pattern for row 10 is single crochet into the 3 stitches and then do a decreasing stitch into the next 2. So there's my 3rd. And I'm just going to show you how to do the decreasing stitch one more time. And you're just going to take your hook, insert it into that stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. You should have 2 loops on your hook. Grab your hook and insert it right into that very next stitch, yarn over, and pull up a loop. If your loops look like you're about to do a half double crochet, then that is correct. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And I will meet you back when you have reached the end of your row. Round 10 will end with a total of 24 stitches and a decrease into the last 2 stitches. So there's 2 loops. There's 3. And there is my last decrease. And just like your row before, you are going to take your hook, insert it through the last stitch that you made, yarn over your stitch marker, and pull through. You are now ready for row 11. Row 11 starts with a single crochet into the first 2 stitches. And then a decrease into the third and fourth stitch. And we are just going to repeat that all the way around until we reach the end of our row. And you will know that you are doing it correctly when you end on a decrease. At the end of row 11, you should have a total of 18 stitches. And as I said before, one other indicator of you being right in counting your stitches is if you are landing on a decrease into the last 2 stitches. So I have 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3, pull up my loop, oops, and pull through. Row 12, we are going to single crochet once into the next stitch and then do a decrease into the next 2. And that would be the pattern for row 12. And if you need to move your whip around a little bit to get a better grip on it, that is okay. So there's 3 loops on my hook. Turn over and pull through all 3. There's 1. And then an decrease into the next 2. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3. And when you've reached the end of your round, I will meet you back and start increasing to form the head. Once again, to make sure that you have the correct amount of stitches within your row, you are going to finish row 12 with a decrease. And that will bring you to a total of 12 stitches. And that is the end of our decreasing rows. And we will start off with increasing to form the head. And just remember to pull up your loop and insert it through the last stitch, yarn over, and pull your stitch marker through, just so that it continues up the body of your snowman. To begin the head of our body, we are just going to start row 13 with single crocheting twice into every stitch around until you reach the stitch marker. And that is exactly how we did it for row 2. And because we are working with a smaller size, it will be a little fiddly to begin with, but it will also get easier as you crochet along the sides. So just remember, you are doing 2 single crochets into the same stitch in every stitch of the row all the way around. And when you have a total of 24 stitches, I will meet you back and start row 14. For rows 14, 15, and 16, we are just going to be single crocheting into each of the next 24 stitches, all the way across. And then when we reach our stitch marker, we are going to move it up like we've been doing throughout this entire project. And because the head is smaller than the body, that is why it is just 24 stitches. If you need to, you can go back and count and make sure that you have a total of 24 at the end of each row. So I'll meet you back at the end of row 16, and then we will finish off the head. For row 17, we are just going to single crochet once into the next 2 stitches. Into the next 2, we are going to do a decreasing stitch. Pull the loop. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and go through all 3 loops. So it's kind of like doing a half double crochet, but it's not. We are going to single crochet again into the next 2. So we are just going to single crochet once into these 2, and then do a decreasing stitch right into these 2. You should have 2 loops on your hook. You should now have 3. Pull through all 3 loops, and there's your decreasing stitch. And you will just follow this pattern all the way until you reach the end of your row. And by that time, you should have a total of 18 stitches. For row 18, we are going to single crochet once into the next stitch, and then do a decreasing stitch into the next 2. We are just going to repeat this pattern all the way until our stitch marker, and that will bring us to a total of 12 stitches. So remember, that's 1 stitch into the next, and then a decreasing stitch into the next 2. Now we'll meet you back at the end of row 18. Row 18 should end on a decreasing stitch, and you should have a total of 12 stitches. If you are 1 off, that is okay, because you are trying to just get the shape of the snowman and not be super precise about it. Row 19 is our last row, and all we are going to be doing is single crocheting 2 together or decreasing stitches until we reach the end of our marker, and that will bring us to a total of 6 stitches. When you have 6, you will want to leave a long tail at the end and snip your yarn. And because we are crocheting from the inside out, it might be a little hard just to get those last stitches. And I'll show you how to stuff your snowman so he can look a little fuller than just empty air. Alright, I've reached the end of my row, and I don't need to bring up the stitch marker because I know that it is the end of the pattern for the body. So what you want to do now is take your scissors, make sure you've got about a pretty long tail, snip the yarn, move it aside, pull out your stitch marker, and flip your snowman inside out. And we will be ready to stuff our little snowman. So this is what the body of your snowman should look like after all of those rows and those increases and decreases. If you've got polyester lying around or any kind of crafting stuffing, that would be a good way to stuff your snowman and make him look a little cooler. I am just going to use scraps that are lying around, and I will see you back when my snowman is all stuffed. Alright, and this is what your snowman should be looking like now that you have him all stuffed. You can see that there's a tiny hole at the top. So take your yarn needle and thread it through the holes to close it up. And you will just be putting your little hat for this little guy right at the top. Once you have it all sewn, you can get your black yarn and start crocheting a little hat. Or if you prefer, you can just create your little hat out of felt. And then just weave in on your end once that hole is closed. Alright. Move your yarn needle aside, take your scissors, snip off the yarn, and there is the body of a cute little snowman.